Welcome, everybody, to the AV Exchange presented by Midwich. I am your host, Joe Dunbar. It's Thursday, Chuck's Notes, July 24th. It's getting away from us. I'm stoked. We got the team from Absen in the house today, so it's going to be fun. LED is a world that I am very familiar with and have been around for a while, and Absen is, one of the biggest names on the planet. And so I'm going to be excited to bring the team in. You guys know what the deal is. Real quick, I'm going to go ahead and bring us into our agenda and start to go through that a little bit, and then we'll dive into housekeeping stuff. So we got the team from Absen. We kicked this relationship off earlier this year, kind of late last year, earlier this year. So it's still a relatively new brand and partner for us. I feel like we've kind of learned how to work together and have gotten embedded pretty quickly. But from our customer standpoint, this may be a relatively new conversation for you. So we're going to kind of do a brand intro and product overview and just kind of get to know and get familiar with Absen, look at applications and use cases and talk to the team about those things. And as always, we have the gift card raffle at the end of the gig. So make sure you stick around for your chance to win a $50 Amazon gift card. Now, before I dive in and bring in the team from Absen, we got to do the kind of normal housekeeping stuff. This is pretty straightforward and easy, but please use the Q&A for questions. It helps me. It's just so much easier for us to keep things organized. If you want to use the chat for any purposes, generic chat to talk with people where you're from. I love to know where people are calling in from. I'm in Minnesota right now, but as you all know, I get around quite a bit. So go ahead and use the chat for regular comments. I'm going to launch an awareness poll. We do this each week when we have an episode. I just want to know how familiar you are with Absen, if it's new to you or you're very familiar with Absen, and kind of where you sit in the channel. If you're a systems integrator, if you're an end user, those types of things. So if you go ahead and respond to that, we can make sure that we speak your language and don't talk above you or below you and kind of stay in the wheelhouse. And we appreciate that. So thanks for joining us with that. I'm going to go ahead and bring in the team from Absen if I can get over to my screen here. Thanks, y'all, for joining. We have Eric Kenyon, Jessica Sanders, and on our team, Andrew Goodner in the house. I appreciate you guys. Maybe we should just go around the horn here and have everybody introduce themselves. Eric, if we could start with you.
Sure. My name is Eric Kenyon. I've been with Absen for about 3 years, but 23 years in the industry for Pro AV. I'm very excited to be here with you guys and talk about direct view LED. It's going to be pretty cool.
Appreciate you being here. Jessica, how about you?
Yeah, Jessica Sanders from Dallas, Texas. And I've been with Absen working on a day-to-day standpoint for the last 5 years. I oversee U.S. distribution for the company, and I've been in the Pro AV industry for about 15 years.
Nice. We got some long-termers. You said you're in Dallas. Eric, where are you based out of?
I'm in Boise, Idaho.
Boise, Idaho. Man, it's beautiful up there. Jessica's down in Dallas. We hope you're staying cool. I like to know where everybody is, especially for the audience, time zones, and, if there's local people and that sort of thing. So I appreciate you sharing with us. Last and certainly not least, we have Andrew Goodner, who works on our team, but former Absen employee. So Andrew, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, definitely. My name is Andrew Goodner. Like Joe said, I'm here at Midwich as an Absen brand manager. Before coming over to Midwich, I was a technical service engineer over at Absen for almost 3 years there. So I have installed, touched, and been inside and out all of the Absen products, processing units, everything. I've seen it all. And basically, at this point, I'll be the point of contact at Midwich for everything Absen.
Yeah, it's been awesome having Andrew on the team. I gotta say, and just for our integration partners on it looks like, I'm looking at the polls here. It looks like we have primarily systems integrators on here with a couple of folks mixed in from different parts of the channel. And it looks like most folks are at least somewhat familiar, if not very familiar with Absen. A couple of new folks, so this will be good for everybody. I don't want to say we're not going to get into like tech specs and speeds and feeds and things like that. It's certainly not a deep dive that we have planned for here, but I will say if somebody wants to know a specific question, definitely drop in the Q&A. One thing I forgot to mention, relevant questions will also get you an additional entry into the raffle. So we want to encourage those questions. Don't try to trick us and ask, random things, but relevant questions will definitely get you extra entries. So please be sure to drop those in the Q&A. Y'all, we're kind of starting out as an introduction and an overview, right? This is relatively new partnership for us and our customers. So it makes all the sense in the world to kind of just start from the beginning and get an intro. Absen, as I mentioned, is one of the hugest, giantest, biggest brand names out there. And I don't want to, I don't really think that can be overstated, but how about some like on the ground kind of background on the company and where you guys come from?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to talk about that. If we can go to the next slide. This is our contact information. So if anyone wants to reach out to us, it's definitely in the slide deck and we can make that readily available to everyone as well. If we go to the next one, this is a beautiful photo that I absolutely love. And this is one of our manufacturing facilities just outside of Shenzhen. I had the privilege to go there earlier this year and alongside with some of our Midwich colleagues and be there on site, tour the facility, see how LED was actually manufactured. Now, Absen is a very, very well-known brand in the LED space. But with that being said, some people don't know who we are as a company. They're used to maybe the LED manufacturers who make microwaves and refrigerators that maybe have a little bit more brand recognition. But Absen has actually been around since 2001. We're a global organization specializing in products, from rental and staging to virtual production to corporate to house of worship. You name it. If you can dream it, we can absolutely do that project. If you go to the next slide, we pride ourselves on being a true LED manufacturing facility. And with that being said, we own our own patents, our own designs. We've won numerous awards. And we could update this with all the Infocom awards and everything of that such. But we are definitely one of the thought leaders in LED manufacturing. And when you hear about some of the newer technology that we're showcasing on this webinar, I think you're going to be amazed at where our mindset is and how we are truly leading the industry in LED manufacturing. Go to the next slide. We are a global company. We've been the number one LED manufacturer by export volume the last 12 plus years. What that means to you is we have more boots on the ground with regional and local expertise than what I would say is any other manufacturer, and our numbers show it. That export volume is product that's actually going out into the world for true install. So what I mean by that is a product that may be used in Alaska may be different than what you do in Dubai. And we understand, different regions, different mindsets, different cultures, and the ability to make a product specifically designed for that area to provide that true expertise. We have over 6,000 channel partners, 140 countries, and we're well versed. And it's funny to me, not funny, but it's ironic. Like we go to Infocom, and like our colleagues are truly from all over the world, and we love seeing that. We are a global company that's just really focused on the LED industry. Go to the next.
Hey, Jessica, if I can just insert here, this is something that, we hear people say a lot, and it's true of many companies, and this isn't to take anything away from Absen. Large companies, global footprints with an understanding on regional kind of specifics and principles, which is very important for, us and our partners. But I'm curious, working with y'all and the team at Absen, it never feels like you guys it feels like you're a giant company. And what I mean to say is their like responses are super fast. I feel like people really care about the problems that we have and are invested in that. It might just be that the magic is the people and you guys have a great team. But is there anything to that? Do you guys do anything specific to make sure that you don't let anybody get lost in the mix? Or is it just that y'all are so good at your jobs that is a byproduct, which may be the case?
Yeah, we would love to think we're so good at our jobs that it's a byproduct. But honestly, it comes down to where our heart is as a company and then the people we bring on. Our team, and every organization should feel this way about their people. I feel like we have some of the best industry people around. We all care what we do. We try to do a minimum response time as quickly as possible. It's funny, I will be contacting and speaking to my boss, and she's halfway around the world, and it's 8:00 at night, and responding to messages and vice versa. And with our local team, they truly care in building connections to their region, to the dealers. Knowing people on a name-by-name basis is extremely important and built into our DNA as an organization. So we are relationship first. If you're looking for an LED manufacturer that's going to be focused on, being there, with customer service, with support, and providing what you need, from that standpoint, we try to pride ourselves as that organization.
I will say, just in the experience that I've had, y'all are some of, not just in the LED world, but some of the best in the industry at just staying on top of those things and maintaining those relationships. So I appreciate that. I know there's a bunch of technical prowess as well, so I'll let you carry on. I just was kind of curious about that, so thank you.
Yeah, and relationships are extremely important as an organization. And beyond that, our technical service and support is based in the United States. So whenever you do have a need that arises, you're calling down to Orlando and you're speaking to an Absen technician. As mentioned earlier on the call, Andrew was one of those individuals that would be fielding those type of service calls. Not only that, but customer service and support. But when you need an engineer to go out on site, that person is based in the United States to be able to help out and provide that helping hand on that install. And that personal element is so important, but there's so much needed before that fact that is extremely vital for project success, such as CAD drawings, 3D, Revits, and etc. Andrew, why don't you talk a little bit about some of the expertise that Absen brings in that sales type environment?
Yeah, definitely. So obviously with any project, it's going to be different from project to project, or even from, the same project. It could be two different walls in the same room, different constraints and requirements for all of them. So obviously we'll go through and get a little questionnaire done, get all the info we need to collect to make sure we get the right product for your specific use case. And then we'll come back with, a quote, 2D drawings, CAD files for you to check out, and to be able to, just get a full understanding of what's going on. That also goes into like any of the wiring paths that you're going to need to hook up all the cabinets together. And then one great tool that we actually do have on our website, usabsen.com, is at the top under support. There should be a button that says calculator, which you can go and use on your own to kind of see what the wall is going to look like and how many panels you'll actually need. And it'll even spit out some of the blueprints for your cabling diagrams there, to be able to help you kind of gauge your own team's, man hours or something going into a project before you even reach out for a quote, just so you have an idea of where you need to be for your customer's bottom line there, right? So that's always great.
Andrew, I just want to call out, and I don't want to rain or step on this if it's coming up later, but we can't let it pass by. I dropped the link in the chat, usabsen.com. This is its own standalone, I shouldn't say standalone. This is another site, in addition to the other Absen websites that are located. But one thing that we've all run into, as technicians and programmers and designers and things in the world is it's hard to get a hold of technical information. Marketing has kind of taken over public facing, sites and documents and things like that. So if any of our partners leave here with one thing today regarding Absen, please use that usabsen.com site as a resource. If you're looking for technical information and specifications and things like that, in addition to the calculator and other great tools, usabsen.com. Once I got a hold of that URL, I don't think I've been to the other Absen sites since then, right? Because that's usually what I'm looking for. So that's an important call out as well.
Yeah, definitely. And if you end up going to Absen.com, something that'll happen is all of the products that Absen offers even outside of the US. Whereas if you're shopping for, North America, you want to be in that US Absen one, just to make sure that, the panel you're interested in is actually certified to be sold in the United States and used with the electricity requirements and stuff like that here.
Great call out. Great call out. Well, we mentioned earlier, right, Absen being like one of the hugest brand names on the planet. You guys, can we talk some logos and stuff? I mean, I don't know what we can.
Yeah, I'd love to. It's something to be said, like whenever I'm in a presentation or like a webinar or whatever like that, I always ask myself, so what? You presented all this great information. We're going to talk about product in a minute, but where's the proof at? And I think this is one of the things that we can absolutely show you on the call today is we have world partners. Some of my favorite, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Dior, of course I name all the fashion brands, Porsche, who's near and dear to my heart. But these are massive organizations and companies that do their diligence. There was one story about, a brand on this wall that we got brought in because none of the other LED manufacturers were meeting the spec that they need. And the due diligence that they put us through, imagine the project being at the 99-yard line, and everything that they made us run through, and the design was just kind of crazy to hear about. And they put Absen through their paces, and the number one comment that we hear from this company was, we should have went with you all at the beginning. And one of the things that I will say is, if it's good enough for these companies, we'd love an opportunity to work with you and some of your partners and some of your clients that you have to be able to build, a product and design that's going to meet their need. That's not going to be over-engineered to where it's too much of a product, but it's going to be the right solution and the right design for what you're looking to be able to accomplish.
Man, if we so many integrators, I think, understand what it's like to have to go in and fix a problem that was caused by maybe an unqualified person being in there before you. And so that phrase, man, we wish we would have gone with you from the start. That rings so true. And this is not to downplay any other LED manufacturers that are out there. There are certainly some great manufacturers doing fun things, but I've worked with pretty much all of them. And my experience with Absen, like, I'm trying to not be a cheerleader too much, but it's been so incredible. So I appreciate y'all living up to that reputation. I know there's more in terms of logos and stuff. So we can look at some use cases later, I suppose, and get into that a little bit. I don't want to side rail this. At some point, we got to dive in and take a look at some product, right?
Absolutely. And I think Eric's going to kind of take over at this point for us.
Well, actually, I wanted to, because Andrew has some real world experience setting up these type of stuff, I wanted him to go through some of the real world use case scenarios that we have. So I got a couple slides in here that we can talk to you about real world examples before we get into the nitty gritty of the actual product. So
perfect. Andrew, what do we need to know, man? Tell us about these.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of echoing just a statement earlier, like if you can dream it up, we can build it. And that's anything from, movie sets with the XR studio stages, entire room solutions from floor to ceiling if you wanted to do a completely immersive room, conference room solutions. We got rental and staging products for events, concerts, all that good stuff. And some of the really cool things about, like, with the movie sets and stuff, with the XR stages now, people are starting to move away from green screens traditionally that are used in film in favor of going with an LED wall. Because one of the biggest benefits of that is your actor can actually look at the LED wall and give you a real reaction to something they're seeing on screen, instead of just trying to drum up a good reaction staring at a green wall, right? And a lot of the movies that were nominated for Best Special Effects, I believe 8 out of the 10 last year used LED walls over green screens.
Andrew, this was this kind of did this, maybe it was earlier, a different time, but this was like the big thing for The Mandalorian when it first came out, right? Like they were kind of one of the first huge productions to really lean into using LED screens on set instead of green screens or blue screens.
Yeah, definitely. They were the first guys to go all out and really use it for the whole nine, right? And it ended up being great. That was a very successful series there, right?
Yeah.
And some of the other places, speaking of Mandalorian, is we have them at a lot of different amusement parks across the world, right? So you see, like, we have them at Universal Studios there. I believe we're in most of their parks worldwide. And then a lot of houses of worship and malls are also going into, starting to use LED more and more. Houses of worship is one that you wouldn't necessarily think of too much, but they're noticing the value over traditional, like, projection.
Yeah, if I can add here, we all see the large churches, the mega churches, if you will, and they're doing like rental and staging setups where they're changing their designs, every few weeks or whatever the case. It may be a ground stack solution, it may be flown, it may be whatever. And we have products obviously for that, but beyond that, you're seeing more of your traditional houses of worship moving towards LED as well. So there's a lot of opportunities that are now really starting to be unpacked across the entire house of worship gamut.
Do we think, I guess it's just an easy thing for me to draw a conclusion and correlation. Maybe it's not the cause per se, but I mean, it seems like accessibility to these solutions, the cost coming down and being more affordable, people are obviously interested in this. I mean, is that kind of the main driver we're seeing in the market? The tech's getting better and cheaper. Why
Yeah.
not look at it, right?
It's absolutely the cost standpoint, but also the freedom that LED offers. A space like a house of worship to be able to, do layering and all these different designs. And of course, you can do that with, projection and whatever the case. But LED is the prime tool for that type of setup to where, you're bringing in different windows, you're in different sizing, all these fun different elements that really help draw people in to that space and environment.
Yeah, there's it's interesting because we hear a lot of comparison between like LED and projection, and I might be, I don't know if anybody wants to fight me or argue me on this. In my experience, it seems like it's kind of those things each have their own place and aren't really contested that much. For folks who know and have the experience, it's pretty easy to walk into a place and kind of immediately know without any additional information that may change things, but likely isn't going to change the perspective that, you walk in and you kind of know which solution's probably going to be right for this space. Then you get into the conversation that may confirm or erase that. But it feels like they're not so much in competition as they maybe used to be or once were thought. And LED has so many flexible points to it that it seems like you walk into a space, you kind of know like, oh, this is what I'm looking for here. And with it becoming affordable, as you were mentioning, and to our point, it's more applicable in more cases. So
Right.
I love to see that.
We're also seeing in the house of worship space where people are wanting to broadcast to people at home, so people who can't make it in. And LED leans better towards the broadcasting spectrum. So it's something that a lot of people are changing from projection to direct view LED so that they can do that broadcasting aspect.
That's, Eric, that's a great point. It really kind of leans into the conversation that we're having about the green screen and blue screens going away and how direct view LED has kind of impacted that space and caused some disruption, right? Which is a buzzword for a lot of folks. For sure, we see direct view LED going into a lot of broadcast sets, not just productions, right? But a live sort of situation with news and things like that. And that blends right into the house of worship conversation. These screens are going to look way more impressive on camera and probably yield less issues, right? Than maybe like a projection screen that maybe works in the space, but now you have this extra consideration to make. So that's a great call out as well. Folks, I just want to take a second to remind everybody, questions in the Q&A if you got them. This is kind of an opening introduction and overview to the brand, so I'm not surprised if we won't get a ton of them. I've got a few that I just want to keep in my pocket because I know we're going to touch on them in the conversation, but just a reminder, Q&A for questions. You guys, do we want to dive into some products?
Yep, we're going to dive into some products.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it in a big sense now, but there are specific product lines that make all these things possible. So who can kind of give us a look into those?
Well, I'll start us out. So we're going to talk about the KLCOB. That's the chip on board system that we have. We still have our NX series, which is the SMD series. There's a brand new Icon, which is our amazing all-in-one units that are coming out. So there's a version 2 that's coming out, and you guys are going to be stocking those. And then we'll do a high-level touch on some of the rental and staging and the digital out-of-home.
Perfect.
So first, we have our KLCOB. This something you guys are currently stocking. We kind of consider this the Porsche of our line, right? We've had other SMD products in the past, but this being KLCOB, being very robust, being able to be touched and cleaned, and the actual contrast ratio and some of the other aspects of this unit is amazing. I know Jess has one of the modules on her desk there that she can kind of show you how it's kind of robust. So
yeah, and what's really cool, like if you were to look at this, like this is completely smooth. So what that's going to also allow is an element of protection on the LED module itself. So you can't go in there and scratch off one of the LEDs or just peel one off. It's very well protected from dust, moisture, and then that physical damage as well. I'd love to try, if you did this to this is a 1.25 mil pixel pitch, you're going to be flaking off modules on the SMD side all day long. But being that it's got this coating over the top, it's very well protected and very well secure and safe at that point.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys showing us that. That's the chip on board, the KLCOB we're looking at. We, as you mentioned, Eric, we keep pretty healthy stock of that. Andrew, I believe we got Carol in the chat as well. And between Andrew and Carol, they can certainly, they'll let you know what we got in stock. And it changes because we're rolling through it so quickly, but the KLCOB, that's like the mainstay from what I can tell.
Yeah, you guys are doing amazing. And we kind of see that as the workhorse for most applications. I just pulled up some, real life examples because I know it's a little bit of I want to see it and touch it kind of a world, but here are some real life examples of the COB product in use. But when we're talking about the KLCOB, you guys have the 1.2s in stock currently. The 1.5s are coming into stock here pretty quick. What's great about this is you can use this for basically anything. So capture every brilliance. If you're using your iPhone or if you're doing full broadcast where you need that 7680, refresh rate, it's possible with the KLCOB product. The deep blacks that we're talking about, so that coating that's going over the actual pixels, that anti-reflective, the contrast ratios are amazing. I'm not going to go too deep into the speeds and feeds because I know we don't want to get too nerdy on the speeds and feeds, but
it depends to ask here, but again, kind of an overview call. If somebody has a particular question about specs, definitely drop in the Q&A, and if it's reasonable, we'll get into it. But yeah, I appreciate us not getting into the weeds there.
Well, I'm a little bit of a nerd. I mean, so I could sit here and talk all day about, the nitty gritty about, how the flip chip works for the actual diodes and that type of stuff. But, again, with the coating, you have a 4 times contrast boost. It is stronger. I think the main takeaway from this particular slide is that the new units are 40% more energy efficient. We don't have fans in our units. They're completely silent. And I know you've been to some of the shows where we've had the demo units, and you can touch the units and they're cool, right? So if this is going to be in a lobby situation or something like that, you don't have to worry about having extra ventilations or fans or special, AC units or something like that for it.
That's an important consideration to make, Eric. I know, having done a lot of video walls, looking at like traditional LCD video walls, I mean, those things pump out some serious heat and create a lot of heat that needs to be dissipated or dealt with to make sure that, the electronics, stay functioning and hopefully stay functioning for a long lifetime. So this is something that's not as large of a consideration for this type of product.
And, when we talk about heat, we always talk about, it's hot to the touch, whatever the case is. But one of the more important things, in my opinion, is the fact that it's going to change your color perception. It's going to cause color shifting and other things that are just not going to be, up to par as if you were to have something that is low heat consumption or put out at that point. So heat is more than just, how warm it gets. It's going to affect the performance of the product. Not only that, but, if you can cause warping if it gets too hot or whatever the case is. And then you start to see lines in between the modules. So heat is, the enemy of great LED in my mind. And Absen has a really good control on making sure that our products run energy efficient and very green at that point.
Those are great call outs. 10 points for Jessica. This is like, whose line is it anyway? The points don't matter. But great call outs. I'm a color science nerd, so I forget uniformity is certainly important. And this all plays towards the product performing to its highest potential as long as it can, right? So great points there.
So we're highlighting here how we do have that 400 different products, right, in 40 different areas of expertise. But again, if you can dream it, we can build it, and these are pretty dynamic in the way that we can actually curve around surfaces, make squares, do steps, And I have some examples of us walking on it. I like to call out how, if you saw the All-Star basketball 2 years ago when they were playing on the live floor, those were all Absen floors, which was kind of cool.
That's an awesome project call out. I'm not even a giant basketball fan. I'm a pretty passive basketball fan, and I remember when that happened, it was like, whose is this? Who's doing this? Well, how did they design
Yeah,
it?
people were asking us, was that projected from the ceiling or how are they doing that? And it's like, nope, they're playing on the actual floor. Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
It's crazy how versatile LED continues to get. And we do have a couple questions piling up. I do want to talk roadmap a little bit. We're going to hang on to those for a second. Eric, I want you to get through kind of the core product categories, and then we'll dive into some of that stuff maybe.
You know what? We can jump into questions anytime, but I'll go through the NX here real fast. So again, NX series, these are SMD, bigger panels. They're kind of our workhorses. Here's a real life example of the NX 1.8. At a General Motors. Oh, did I go too far? I don't know why they went up. But as you can see, it's a curved screen. This is a real world example. They look amazing in person, right? So
we can all. Sorry, I was just to say we can all attest to the fact how great they look.
Yeah, and this, whenever I see one of these, I always want to know. I'm like, how bright is that? And then I find out that it's, at 40% or 50% brightness as to what it actually could be, right? So it's just kind of cool.
That helps with the, all we were talking about earlier in terms of the performance and the lifespan of everything. Being able to kind of run these cooler is a huge benefit as well.
Yep. So these are both front and back accessible. So if you have something hung and you need to get at it from the rear, you can, or, obviously we can pull the modules off and you can access them from the front if something needs to be replaced. Again, another General Motors real world application.
Cool.
Not to get too much into the nitty gritty of, sourcing and stuff like that, but everything is HDR compatible. And I believe the new KLCOB is HDR10 certified as of yesterday.
Awesome. We're
starting actually probably six months ago, but yeah.
We're starting to see these products really disrupt the whole display space. And so in places where maybe they were going to use 110-inch display or something like that. So kind of checking these boxes is maybe not super important for every application, but really allows the disruption to continue and indeed to take over some spaces where maybe before it was out of the question.
So I'm going back here a little bit because that brings up a good point, right? So these are 16:9 cabinets and they're almost like Lego bricks, right? So if you have a specific application where you need something to be 120 some inches or you need it to be 50 some inches, you can use the same product to build those applications out. And we have some projects that they're, 250 feet long ribbon, so it's pretty diverse in what we can do with those.
Yeah.
When we were talking about, the high refresh rate and stuff like that for broadcast, this just kind of gives an example of how you're not going to see the scan lines and that type of stuff if you're using broadcast cameras.
Yes, super important in those applications.
I will say, if you do want to do a curved wall, we do have to say that you guys don't stock that, but it's a special order, but it's relatively quick to get those kind of products.
I mean, compared to experiences I've had in the past, even the special order stuff can come quicker than standard, off the shelf stuff from other brands that I've worked with. So that certainly isn't a huge obstacle.
So this is a good stopping point if you want to talk about some of the questions.
Yeah, let's dive into a couple. I know Dawson had asked about the roadmap. I was at Infocom. It looks like Dawson may have been at Infocom. Not everybody was. I certainly love seeing what was the alt display. I just curious what the roadmap looks like for y'all in terms of new product and innovation kind of coming down the turn.
Okay. Jess, do you want to speak to that? Or
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I try not to cough on camera, and I did. But yeah, one of the big things we've been focusing on is breadth of product. So like you mentioned the alt earlier, so getting into more of that architectural space, but not only that, but making sure that we have a product and solution for all the applications that we possibly can have. So I'm talking about low-cost solutions. That's really that bottom third of the market to those, higher end caliber corporate install solutions like the KLCOB and the NX are going to be, and then making sure we have everything across the board, and then just increased performance. That's one of the biggest portions that you're going to see on all of our product roadmaps is just that higher refresh rate, like the 7680 that you see, making sure that's pretty much standard on all of our solutions. That outdoor, we're getting very tight pixel pitch. So you're seeing that coming down from 16, stair stepping its way down to standardizing pretty much at 8, but even going down to 2.5 for outdoor as well. So you're getting tighter pixel pitches, higher performance, and lower heat consumption. That is Absen's mindset when it comes to our roadmap and making sure we have products to market that fit into that criteria. Not only that, but if we want to talk about, ease of installation, that's a big thing for us as well. And just making sure that we're listening to partner feedback to make sure that we actually can design a solution that's going to meet what they're thinking it should be doing in the market, and cutting out like all the unnecessary steps on an installation basis as well.
Jessica, I know you didn't do this on purpose. An excellent segue to another question that we have. So Aaron wants to know, are mounts included, or what should they be using? Are there certain brands? Are there certain types, that sort of thing, for mounting, and what comes included?
Yeah, Absen definitely, has their own mounting system. Save the, KLCOB newest version. That we actually recommend a third-party mounting structure. But when it comes to that, you can definitely use a third-party system where with all the major suppliers are out there. And one of the biggest things that you're going to see at that point is increased Z-axis control. That's one of the biggest takeaways. I built a new home a while back ago, and we had this 40-foot wall, and it was, it was not straight. And it was just, I have this theory now in North America that there's no straight wall ever. There's always a little bit of give and curve and whatever. And you're going to see that when you're in the field. So it's important, though, that you're making sure your LED goes on as straight and smooth as possible. Because if it's not, you're going to see it show up and maybe a little bit of a black line or a white line with the modules and how they increase or how they go together. And that's why that Z-axis and that flexibility that a third-party system will actually, increase that performance from that point.
Yeah, that's, having done some installations, Andrew, I know been down that road where it's like, yeah, we're working on this installation, but the walls are never flush. Jessica, as you mentioned, just no wall, short for maybe save for like a 4-foot section, right?
Yeah.
The span of a wall is never flush, and that presents a huge obstacle in a proper LED installation. Andrew, can you just tell us a little bit about your experience in those types of situations and what you're really looking to do to solve that?
Yeah, definitely. So like Jess was saying, one of the biggest benefits of the third-party mounting systems that you can get for our products has a lot of bells and whistles that can actually help you adjust that Z-axis a lot more than just the standard Absen mounts are. The standard Absen mounts work great, but whenever you have those walls that are really just out of whack, right? You have to use a lot of wood shims or plastic shims and take a lot more time going over the entire mounting solution, making sure it's all level, all plumb. Whereas, the third-party solution will basically take some of that headache out of it, which is really great. I've seen some really, really bad walls in the past to where, one section of the wall has no shims. One section of the mount has no shims behind it. Another section had an inch worth of shims under it to make it flat.
I mean, that's a substantial difference. I know an inch maybe doesn't sound a lot, but if you've done any type of LED installation, like that's a huge difference from one other. So what I'm gathering here is that when we quote you, it's going to include mounts from Absen as part of the package.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want, we've given some compelling reasons to look at third-party mounts, or if you're in an application where you need a little more play or something like that, then a third-party mount is the way to go. I know, we have B-Tech in our house, as well as a couple other brands, so we've got some options along with that. And I don't know, Eric, Jessica, either of you could probably speak to this a little bit, but I know you guys have partnerships with some of the mounting brands out there, right? And you guys work with them to help them develop their products. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. And a lot of these mounting companies are moving more towards a universal mounting system with ours and other LED manufacturers in mind. So, great products, but Peerless, Draper, I don't want to name, I can't name them all because there's so many, but BTEC's one of the partners you mentioned earlier. Just a variety of mounting options that are out there. It's almost like BYOM, bring your own mount almost. So there's plenty of options that are out there, and you can, reach out to Andrew or, reach out to us and we can help you with that as well.
Awesome. I got a couple more questions, guys. I don't want to miss anything in the deck. Do you want to dive into some other stuff or hit with the questions? We still got them going?
Let's do one more question and then we can roll.
Perfect. I'm going to get my man Terry in here, and I don't have it loaded up on the screen for y'all. Shout out Terry, holding it down in the Fox Valley area for us. Terry wants to know, and I'm sorry that I have to ask you guys this question, but we got to ask this question. Terry wants to know how tariffs have impacted Absen and maybe how that compares to the impacts versus the competition. So what is Absen doing to help stay competitive in a market where
that's a good question.
Yeah. Well, me personally, Absen aside for a second, I think it's taken years off my life, to be honest with you. And it's definitely, caused some pain points, but Absen has been very aggressive and extremely responsive during this whole tariff situation. We absorb, a good portion of the tariffs and become extremely flexible. But beyond that, we make sure that product is readily available in the United States. So then it's something to where we can make sure that we can control it from that standpoint. Like having phenomenal partners like Midwich, who is stocking product for us to make sure that it's there, it's ready to go. So if you have a project now, you're not worried if it comes out from the White House that tariffs from China are going up, 30 or 40% or whatever the case may be. It's controlled right now. So we've made a really conscious effort to be able to make sure that we have product readily available through Midwich at that point. But, we've done things to where we absorb some of the tariffs and then we pass along, a little bit of the others as well. I think right now, and Eric, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think right now there's probably we're absorbing 10 and then there's like a 10% split or 5% split or something like that.
Yeah, technically because there was already a 20% tariff in place that we were absorbing already. So we're absorbing 30% of it and passing along 10. So, which I know, other people have tried to do, but right now I think we're in the best position for that. But more to Jess's point, we brought in a lot of product into the United States for distribution, and specifically for Midwich, so that you guys can have that stock readily available that doesn't have tariff attached to it.
I feel like it's a great question. And Terry, I appreciate you asking. I know it's a conversation that maybe some folks are even tired of having to ask and bring these things up, but they're impacting us in the real world. And I think seeing y'all absorb some of it and I don't want to say take a hit, right? It's sharing a little bit of that load that is being forced on us all by external forces. We can't really do anything about that, but we can manage how we mitigate it. So I think that shows a dedication to the channel and a commitment to partners, seeing y'all kind of absorb some of that and take it yourself. And I do, we've got Trent's in the chat, keeping things going and reminding us that all the icon models are tariff free, all sizes and varieties.
Yep.
Yep,
that's correct.
Awesome. Shout out Trent for keeping that going, or letting us know there in the chat for that. So a variety of ways, depending on where they come from and what the manufacturing process is. But what I'm hearing is Absen is committed to staying as competitive as possible in the market and, just looking for more exposure into new projects.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we've got about, 10 or so minutes left here, guys. I don't want to miss anything. So if we want to jump back into the deck and kind of hit some of the points we make sure we get to.
We'll go through it pretty quickly, but so if you can pull that back up. So we do have a new Icon product announcement. We're coming out with the Icon X V2 series. So this is it's actually like the third or fourth iteration, but we're calling it version 2. One of the coolest parts about this particular unit is it does have a quick installation time, where in the past we would say if you were an expert in it, you could put it up, 1.5 to 2 hours, but now it's 30 minutes. Some of the other features are we're going to have, the standard 1080p version, but we have a 2K and a 4K variants as well. So you have a little bit more flexibility on what you want to do on that. And you guys are stocking it, right? So you guys already have some orders in place for this. Andrew was calling it, what was the new hotness, Andrew? Ohio Riz, something like that. I think, yeah. So it's the new Ohio Riz, so.
Yeah. So if we can go back a slide, I want to talk about something real quick. It was kind of mentioned, but 30 minutes for an install for an LED video wall, that is insane.
Yeah.
And not only is it quick, but think of it like this. There's an Absen technician that comes out on site and helping you install that product. So to have that done to where you're allocating one person on your team for labor at minimally, and then an Absen person to help with that install and getting that up and going where you actually can start to see picture in 30 minutes, that's insane. I don't know of any competitor that can boast of that quickness, but I was in Shenzhen earlier this year and, watched the time-lapse video of a couple of our, factory personnel actually install the wall within 30 minutes. And so real life example from that point. So that's an extreme labor saving mechanism built into the system for ease of installation at that point. So more money if you're a dealer in your pocket at that. So
you couldn't, a 2x2 video wall wouldn't go up in half an hour, so that's kind of what this is comparative to. On this product, we did get a question. Jordan had asked, what was it exactly? Oh, what is the go-to for conference room applications was the question. And I mean, am I incorrect saying that certainly all projects will vary, but this is kind of the go-to product for that type of application?
You're exactly right. Yes.
So the Icon all-in-one stuff. We have, I think it's a 136 or a 16. One of these is in our West Coast showroom there, and I got to check that out, and I was pretty impressed with how great it looked, even up close. I mean, it looked fantastic.
136, and that was just a 1080p version, and it still looks amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we do have 21x9 options as well. So, somebody's looking for a Teams room type of application where they do need that 21x9, that's available as well.
Front row, baby. Still
that's right. So only having 10 minutes left or however many minutes left, we do want to make sure that we mention that these are fully AV controlled systems with Extron, Crestron, Barco, some others as well. But so if you have a system where you already need control in your room, we're compatible. I'm not going to talk about that too much because these are very similar to the KLCOB. Here's some real world examples of where these are already put in place. These are the older models, not the newer models. Let me know if you want me to stop, Joe. But,
no, you're right. Actually, Doug did ask us. So just to be clear, there's an Icon X V2 coming. That's a true 4K resolution.
That is a true 4K resolution, right? So we have your standard, your 2K, and 4K. Let me see if I can pull up the 4K version of it.
What's the pixel pitch difference between like the 2K and the 4K in the same size? I mean, that many pixels, I suppose.
Sure, yeah. So the 4Ks are 0.7.
Wow. That's my first thought is like, how did you squeeze 4K into the same 136 package? But that makes perfect sense.
And then I'm kind of going to end on this particular slide here, because this is a conference room type of situation. We work with all different kinds of UCC partners, whether it's Barco or Yealink and a plethora of everybody else. But, besides working with Extron, Crestron, and other control systems, we partner very, very well with pretty much everybody out there. Unless it's a proprietary system, we're a really good fit for the total solution. So when you're talking about UCC and conference rooms, instead of putting up a bunch of different smaller LCD panels or that one giant LCD that's not going to be as bright or as robust, and God forbid you're putting up a projector, think about us for that solution. Yeah.
I am still a projector fan, but I will say the use cases and applications are kind of, I don't think they're shrinking, but they are shifting, right? A lot of people might have gone classroom, boardroom, and we want a big screen. Well, then a projector is the only affordable way to do that. And we are so far beyond that being accurate. And so it's definitely shifting. And especially in bright spaces. Every conference room feels like a fishbowl these days. So it's just, you need that brightness. Can we get a little clarification on the new Icon X stuff? Is there a variant in the model number or something, so we know if we're dealing with the V2 or the older V1 stuff? I shouldn't say older, but the current.
Yeah. So I mean, it does say V2, right? And then it'll say 4K 2K at the end. Right? So you'll know based on the actual nomenclature will be Icon 136 2K, Icon 136 4K.
And are those out already, or are they shipping?
They're out, and as a matter of fact, you have 5 of the X130. Yeah, 163 4Ks. You have 5.
There you go, Dawson. We have some in the house, so give us a call. Certainly, we'd be happy to help you out there.
And you just ordered a whole bunch more of the V2s, so you've got some coming to you.
I love to hear that. Our team is great about not just keeping stock, but keeping the right stuff in stock, which is a big piece of the puzzle as well. So we're winding up, a couple of minutes left here. I do want to make sure we get to the raffle and get a gift card and kind of hit all that stuff. But I'd love to give you guys each an opportunity to just, thank you for being here. Anything you want to leave us with, anywhere that people can find you, what would be kind of the last piece on our way out here?
Yeah, I'd love to welcome individuals who are on this chat to follow me on LinkedIn. It's my primary social media network. Just by searching Jessica Sanders, you'd be one of my tens of followers, as I say. But a lot of great LED content, follow my journeys around the world, if you will, and just kind of a different perspective on, pro AV life.
Awesome. Appreciate that. I know we're connected and I've been seeing your posts. You get everywhere, Jessica. People say I travel and it's like you and Chris Netto, I feel like you're all over the place. Eric, are you on the World Wide Web? I know there's some events coming up. Where can we find you?
Yep, I am going to be coming out pretty soon to see you guys next month for the South Bend Cubs event. But yeah, follow me on LinkedIn, same, or reach out to me at Absen. I'm happy to work with anybody on anything they need. And yeah, look forward to meeting people in person.
I can attest to that. Andrew, I know where to find you because we work at the same place now, but you got to let the people know, my friend.
Yeah, definitely. You could always email me, whether it's andrew.goodner@midwich.us or absen@midwich.us. Either of those emails will go out to me, or you can follow me on LinkedIn as well. And I also have tons of photos and videos of past installs on there that I've actually completed, if that's something you'd be interested in. And one thing I actually want to leave everyone with, kind of wrapping up a couple of the points we talked about, is we went back and forth about, like LED versus your projection, right? And that's always a really hot topic, right? But what no one really talks about is LED with projection together, to create some really, really cool, really, really unique experiences for stages. You can even incorporate lasers shooting at your screen to draw whatever is going to show up on your LED screen. There's so many creative solutions using all of the tools in the toolbox, right? It doesn't always have to be one or the other.
I love that perspective and definitely share that with you. I appreciate you leaving us with that. Fantastic info. Eric, Jessica, Andrew, thank you all for joining us so much. It's been a great conversation. We could certainly keep it going. We'll come back for a V2 and maybe deep dive into some stuff down the line, but I want to say thanks y'all for having us, and I will let you guys go and hop over to the raffle here.
Awesome.
Definitely. It was nice being here.
Appreciate it. So thanks everybody for joining us. I sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day. I hope you get something out of this. Certainly welcome any feedback you can provide to our team or directly to me, joe.dunbar@Midwich US, anytime. With that, I'm going to go ahead and hit the wheel. Tim Green. Shout out Tim Green for winning the $50 gift card raffle. We will get in touch with you after this to make sure that you get that. If anybody wants more information on Absen or any of the lines we carry, of course, BTEC is a great companion line for Absen. Reach out to your sales rep at Midwich, and we'd be happy to help you out. Otherwise, until next time here on the AV Exchange, I just want to say thanks and have a great day.